Your lane courtesy is just one lane courtesy. So if you're expecting two, that's fine. Just don't get upset if perhaps your website for some reason does not give you two-lane courtesy. All right, guys. We are going to turn you on for 10 minutes more. Also, don't forget to stick around afterwards for the big action match between Robert Smith and Greg Johnson.
Oh, I was gonna. The first thing that came in my mind was Sam Goody.
Knows. Where'd you go to get your shirt today? You bought an amp and you bought a guitar. I was giving shit. I'm like, let's put a radio. Get that shit figured out.
I respect that.
If I would have put on a house shot, I probably would have pulled. Yeah, I'm a house shot hero.
I think I'm better than this lower part. Get to the upper
That's the thing.
This is it, the headset?
Yep.
Talk.
Yeah, I could hear it.
I can hear you. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Can you turn it up my
just for you.
head just a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure just for you specifically.
You're the man. I appreciate you.
All right, folks. It is time for our next event. We've really got a we've completed 2 official squads of the Agent Ong Open, the inaugural event. And we've been talking about, obviously, some additional bowling and action that is going to take place. And that's about to kick off right now as practice has concluded. And we'll get into the details of how many. But first and foremost, there is a name, a brand name, if you will, attached to this sweeper. You may have heard of him. It is Sweep the Rack. And one half of the Sweep the Rack podcast duo is with us. Right now, he's going to be with us until he wants to depart. But give a big shout out to Rob Perushad. Was that right?
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
People know me as Brooklyn Rob.
But that is Brooklyn Rob, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, say how you doing, Brooklyn Rob.
I appreciate it. I really. This is actually my first time doing any kind of commentary. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. When it comes to like actually bowling, I mean, we do the podcast. We've been doing it for like 5 years, but when actually doing live, what is it? Play-by-play. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
Play-by-play. Color. Yeah.
First time doing it, so I look forward to bringing some, excitement to the broadcast booth here, and I will promise I will try not to swear.
Well, I appreciate that. You did alert me, or at least warn me prior to. Before we get into a little bit more of that, Rob, bringing Carl on to the, of course, creator here of the Agent Ong Open. I know Rob, a big supporter, obviously, not just this tournament, but Carl in general. So how did you two kind of link up and work to partner in the sense to get Sweep the Rack as a part of this event?
So I've known Carl, it seems like forever.
It's been a very long time, since the Megabuck days.
Since the Megabuck days.
Okay.
And I went to his house last year to watch some football, to actually watch a good team like the 49ers play, not my Jets. And we actually were just talking, and then I've had the podcast for almost like going on 5 years, so it's pretty well known to like our group. We have a little like local community, we call it. It's like a family, and the podcast loves to support bowling. I mean, we really do. We want to support anything that we feel strongly about, and we love big tournaments, we love small tournaments, we love hard shots. We always talk about challenging conditions, scratch events, and Carl is doing it right. It's his first annual event. He is putting out a tough shot. He's putting up the money. So we wanted to get behind him, and we were talking a little bit, and we were just like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, he wants, for me to be able to use my platform to get the word out for the tournament. And for us, it's like it's able to get behind bowling and something in my local area here. I'm living in North Scottsdale, so I'm about 35, 40 minutes. And, just from what Carl was telling me about the tournament, what he wanted to do and how he was doing it, we wanted to get behind it. And we want to support bowling. We want to support great tournaments like the Agent Ong Open.
Carl, I'll let you follow up, and then I'll tell the people who we got bowling here in front of us.
This is overwhelming. Blown away by the amount of people that have come out tonight. Like I said, I had no expectations. I mean, we have what was initially going to be about maybe 30 sweeper entries, from what I believe. I think I don't have the final numbers. Theo has that, but I think we're about 70. And like I said, literally just blown away. So I want to thank everybody out there that's watching this tournament, and everyone out here in the center that's bowling the tournament right now. 90% of these people don't even know me by name, but they believe in the tournament. And like I said, literally just blown away and very humbling. And I mean that from the purest of positions. Just absolutely blown away and super thankful for everyone that's been involved. Rob, yourself, Theo, and all our sponsors, just everybody. So I just want to take a moment to get on here and just say thank you from my family. This is humbling and an amazing experience, so thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You got nothing else to say after that. All right, folks, a lot of questions about who this young woman is in front of us. Oh. And if you've never seen her, yes, that is Hope Gramley. Someone did recognize her in the chat. That is the 2023 BWPA Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, she throws it good, doesn't she?
She is, I mean, she's already made, I believe it is 4 shows. And she made 2 as a non-member last year. Made a couple more this year, and of course went on to win the Rookie of the Year. Kyle King on this pair on 9 and 10. I believe that is Gabe Alvarez from Wichita on lane 10. And
I mean, there's so many bowlers around this area right now. There's just
you got Robert Smith.
Andrew
Andrew
Kane,
Kane,
Matt
Brett
Jones,
Wolf, Matt Zweig.
Matt Jones.
I mean, just in front of us, Cortez Shank, Ryan Halen, Wesley Lowe,
Cortez Shank.
Greg Thompson.
Mookie Betts is
Mookie
even in the
Betts is
building.
bowling.
Mookie is here too. That's
Yeah.
right.
Mookie is bowling
I
right
was
now.
kind of starstruck, to be honest with you, when I
Oh
saw him.
no, here we go.
I was. I'll be honest with you. I haven't ran into him. I know he's a big bowler, but it was the first time I actually saw him in person. And this is one of the, probably one of the best baseball players in our day, right?
Absolutely.
And for him to just sit here bowling like he's just a normal bowler is just kind of extraordinary. Bobby Campanelli, Ari Wilson, Greg Thompson. I mean, there is just a powerhouse full of squad here.
This is absolutely amazing. So, well, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to get Mr. Chris Schlemmer back onto the booth. I got to go handle
we got
some.
celebrity coming on.
I got to go handle some finances with
Finances.
some more brackets.
I like
Yeah,
it.
you got 60 more people here, so you got some more cash.
Yeah, I got to go handle some business before the action match. So,
Oh, yeah.
guys, thank you. Enjoy the
You're
show.
welcome.
I'll try to jump on before the end of the sweeper.
Sounds
But
good.
you guys are in amazing hands, so thank you.
Hey, thanks, Carl.
All right, my man Carl. It's funny too. He said 90% of the people probably here didn't know his name, and I didn't know him until he called me
Really?
and asked me about
Yeah.
live streaming.
I'll tell you, though, who's coming on, though. Everybody knows.
Well, of course. that is a celebrity.
I feel honored to be sitting between you guys, I'll be honest with you.
Jim asks, what are some of the favorites, big names in the sweeper? Well, we just rattled off a ton. I mean, I don't even know if we could call a favorite, honestly, because there are a lot of really good players bowling this sweeper tonight. And so, having said that, and Schlem and I, along with Carl, were talking about just the earlier squads and kind of what to expect and what we were watching. And the sweeper, we felt like, could really give us a sense of how squads could play moving forward. You might see a few more players trying to break them down in a certain way. Obviously, you got some high caliber players, so you're thinking about. I'm trying to think how they think and how they might think on, what they might do differently, especially for those who already bowled, like Kyle King, for example. He just bowled, and so his game plan certainly seemed to be working toward the end of that squad. How he will treat these 3 games. Matt Jones over there doing his thing.
Yeah, he's got a good look, Matt Jones. He's got front 4 right now. And when he's striking, he's scary. He's scary good.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Oh, there we go. The other thing, too, is as we've seen in the first 2 squads, and you saw just here in front of us with Kyle and some of these other guys trying to use urethane, sandblasting them, like 500 grit, like going to try and play a spot from out, is that it's only on certain lanes, certain pairs. So that's going to cause the traffic, as we've seen. Once you get through this first game, then go to the next pair, there's a lot of people get lost in translation. So,
Spare shooting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Spare shooting.
It's premium. We've mentioned that throughout the day of filling frames and keeping your your bad game. You got to keep it to that 170 at worst. Try to keep it in that 180, 190 window. Kind of like grinding like the U.S. Open. I referred to it, and I think you've bowled a couple times. Remember the U.S. Open at Cavalier back in the day? Kind of get that vibe and that feel based on the amount of friction on the lane surface and the way not only you got bowlers putting surface on bowling balls while they're practicing, but the actual certain lanes that have more built-in friction. Just a lot of variables.
I always used to talk about how when I would bowl in really hard shots, it's really important to find a reaction that when you make a mistake, you are able to leave 8s and 9s and makeable spares.
Something you can pick, correct. And that's the whole thing. And that's what, when you're working with somebody, and you've probably done it as well when you coach, it's one of those deals of, when you make mistakes, still do the right thing, and you can somehow keep it within the 1, 2, 3 to where you can hopefully catch a Brooklyn, or, like you said, even if you cross over, get it to where it's crossing over enough where you're not, like, super washing out. And, dude, we saw plenty of it today. We're going to see it tonight. Plenty of 3 off the right, 3 off the left. But even like Andrew, he's like, dude, he came back after the first frame. He goes, you saw me practice on this pair, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, do you see me like trace that shot and go 6 out? I go, yeah. I said, that was pretty solid. He goes, I think that's harder than actually missing on the first shot, is actually trace it and still miss the head pin the same way. And again,
we just saw pocket 6-7, by the way, on 11.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
We had a pocket 6. Brandy had a pocket 6-7-10 this morning. So it's a thing.
I'm kind of happy I'm not bowling, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's so much nicer to be back here talking about how, good I would be if I did bowl.
Right. And it gets into, and again, we're seeing it. Yeah, now we've got 4 in a pair. So you see even a little bit more of a transition. Prime example, there you go. Dragon, my man, he had the one game this morning. He had 250, and then he backs it up with 180. So he's bowled a little bit today. Well, now my man's got 54 in the fourth with a double 5-6. So, and Kyle trying to jam it in there, and again, like him and I talked about after he got done, trying to play that look. I mean, it's going to be good on certain pairs and maybe certain lanes. So I don't know that it's going to hold true all the way through. Because again, you look at what he's given up to even just Hope on his. I mean, Hope's got 4 and 5 spare. So, like she said, she's got that little. She's got some tricks with her hand. And you can see her kind of getting to be able to kind of flip it forward a little bit. And that's just that right there is prime example of college bowling and some of the stuff she had to do when she was bowling. Granted, she was bowling against the girls, but her rev rate was so high. She couldn't always get left to get it around the corner. Like she kind of was forced to kind of play closer to it and, force it to tumble more. We'll see how it holds true for her going pair to pair. But
yeah, we always talked about how when you're a national touring pro, regardless of woman or man, how much higher level you are than someone like me who's maybe call yourself a full-time amateur bowler, and I'm not even a full-time amateur bowler. I consider myself a part-time amateur bowler these days.
Right.
But when I was a full-time amateur bowler, and then you go to bowl against a Hope Grammarly or maybe a Robert Smith who was a former touring pro, Cortez Shank, right, a Wesley Lowe.
Yeah.
How much of a different level they are compared to what you are as a part-time amateur.
Correct. And it's learning. She's, even then, that's in play. Leaves it where she only leaves a 2-pin.
Right.
We saw too many people trying to play that zone earlier this morning and this afternoon, where that shot right there is they're missing the head pin right, or they're missing the head pin left, or it's a super, 5 through the middle or 4 through the middle. So, she understands what her ball's doing, and you can see in her head exactly what you said. She can make it manipulated a little bit more. And I think that's what separates the levels of tiers, and we've seen it all too often over the course of time through amateur, like you said, the better amateurs to the national tour. Now, don't be wrong, there were some great amateurs that never made it on tour that could compete and hang and do those things. But they're few and far between. I mean, it's when you look at the, as I like to explain to people, you take organized bowling as a whole, which is, sanctioned, non-sanctioned, your tournament bowlers, your whatever. I mean, we're 2.5, 3 million people. Man, this right here is a super minute part of that cluster of people, So, yeah, it's cool to see stuff like this was going. And, as we this morning it was the deal of, and now we can do it on this too. So, like the first pair, you get spare, 5-bagger. The next pair, there was 1 turkey on 5 and 6, 7 and 8. You got some decent scores working. Then we got some pairs that, it's just going to be how they break down and how they were broke down. And like I said, once the people physically start moving to the next pair, that's when the super fun happens.
So let's play a game here. If you were to take a guess, I'll throw it to both of you. Take a guess on what score wins the sweeper. What would you guys
score
think?
Wins the sweeper?
After just watching the first 6 or 7 frames in practice.
702.
Wins the sweeper.
Wins it. Yeah. Was it about 70 entries probably?
I'm going to go maybe like 685.
702.
He's got 702,
I'm sticking with
685.
that.
And the only reason, I mean, we saw it all too often, like I said, throughout the 2 squads today, where, yeah, first you catch a pair, like, oh, yeah, shoot 240 or 250, and a number of folks then turn around and bowled 140 or 150 right behind it. So basically gave it all right back. But, hey,
I'm going higher.
You're going higher?
There's always one person who
figures it out?
Who seems to get it. On a field like this, I'm going to say 721.
Wow.
And the field is why I went 100 over at least. Just because of the caliber as a whole with this many players is, you know, even though it's only 3 games.
The transitional equalizer.
That next pair today or tonight might be a little bit better than that next pair that you go to or that they went to this morning.
Or it could be worse.
Or it could be absolutely worse.
Especially when you're looking at where people are playing them and how they're playing them. There's no definitive zone being attacked right now. Some pairs are an arrow left of the pair right next to them. And this is game 1. So, and then it's one of those deals that they're flat enough, and the way the hang spot is, like I said, a lot of folks had the issues once they moved in to try and shoot it right. They really shot it right. You know, it was 2 8-10s, or roll the 2 to leave the 8-10.
So Matt Jones has got a good game right now. 115 in the 5th on a double. And he looks like he's got a great look.
Oh,
That 9 out.
just carried the 7-9.
Got laid off too a little bit.
The Hall of Famer. They so let's see, we got catch 22 catch 22. It's at 721. Bowler dance at 734. Switch 710. Who you might know. They think someone's going to shoot, or we'll have a look at urethane and shoot 740.
Urethane, 3 games on this. What do you think of that, Schlem?
No. Because the only person using urethane right now is Kyle, or trying to. And he's not going to get he's going to shoot 180 this game? Maybe?
I kind of feel like when I saw the pattern of the graph, you know, I'm not an expert at reading graphs or whatnot, but when you saw the mill and you saw how many mills there were in the lane, and it looked like they designed this pattern so you didn't throw urethane. That's what it kind of looked like to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen this kind of the stats numbers. I actually didn't see the actual full graph itself. Yeah, those are just kind of the details. We don't know where the loads, you know, everything is, if there's any offsets or, you know what I'm saying, anything to that capacity. But, yeah, no, we'll see how it'll...
Hope's getting up here on 10. She's on a great game, too. Wow. It's just a minute hand a little bit on top of it, and the ball goes an extra 3 feet. And
yes, sir.
Man, Alec Keplinger over there next door, battling the split bug. Said a couple of splits. He'll make well, at least at the moment, he's going to go to a pitch black. We'll see if he take this opportunity to try to get himself lined up.
And Matt Jones just vicious 7-10, or I'm sorry, stone 10 on 7. He was going on 260 too.
Well, we saw a couple of those earlier today from a 7-10 perspective.
Especially probably during the transition games, I would imagine. You see more of those, right?
Yeah, I think so. We saw a couple of different things during squad 2, man. It was so different from squad 1, even though, you know, there were less bowlers in squad 1, but it was just a completely different transition. Some of the leaves we saw were much different. The frustration levels were much higher.
Squad 2. Did anybody kick a ball return or throw a rosin bag?
No, it wasn't to that extent, but
because
you can see it in the face. You can see it all in the face.
So we'll give you another one. So Greg Thompson using urethane. Yeah, had a decent game going, but then he went miss a spare, split. So yeah, he's looking at, you know, he's looking at 2-0 with urethane. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know that that's on that pair, and he also was crowbarring that ball with like 500 grit. So gets on the next pair. And I don't know if he, freshened up some other bowling balls. So when he goes to the next pair, if he was kind of paying attention, that's the other part too.
Shots like this and sweepers like this, I used to love brackets. Because if you could put together two 2-0s and 2 15s and 2 20s for 3 straight games, you're probably going to make a decent amount of money, depending on how many brackets there were.
Well, I think it's a decent amount tonight.
Well, prime example here, we're looking at, 5 and 6. High on the pair there is 212.
Right.
Down on 3 and 4, it looks like somebody's got to pop at like 220. High on the pair here, 2-0.
I really like Matt Jones' look right now.
Yeah, no,
He just went stone
again,
town.
and it's on that pair. So it's and maybe too getting to the next pair. The carry is the thing,
Right.
And it's some of these pairs. It's like we saw a lot of weird 7 pins, not blower over the top, like some people is throwing 3 and 4 pins at the 7 and it just kind of stands there. It's like, how is that even possible?
It seems to be like this in this building. I've bowled here a few times since I've moved out here.
Yeah.
And the carry is never really fun.
And Hope looking at a different ball there, but she's
230. What a great game that was.
230s are. I'm not seeing much else around us right here,
Yeah.
170s, 2-0s.
I don't know. That's 7.
Down there, I don't know, the one pair there, I don't see a double on the screen on 19 and 20. So, so is that if whoever catches that pair, is that just nightmare or, what I'm saying? So we just got to wait and.
Is it too late to change my guess?
Nope. Hey, you're the official sponsor. This is Sweeper of the Racks podcast.
Sweeper of the rack is. I'm gonna change my guess to 670.
Oh, come on! I shot 685, and you guys were like, "Oh no, this should be way higher." And now as we watch this go on, you're all like,
Well, there was a few
know.
strikes going all around us.
I
at the
know,
time,
but that's what I'm saying. You got to wait for the lane to transition a little bit. And all I can think of every time I say that or want to murmur that, it's like, sweep the leg.
Oh, yeah, that's where it's from.
Perfect. Sweep the leg.
Well, I'm a big 80s. I love 80s movies.
Perfect.
And when I was thinking of a name for the podcast, it was, I was watching at the time Cobra Kai,
Okay.
Yeah, and that was popular, and I was just like, sweep the leg. And now the original logo, I literally just took the Cobra Kai logo, and I literally saved it, and I got my Photoshop out, and literally the logo was the Cobra Kai.
Nice.
Yeah, until we actually got some money together and had our own logo designed.
There you go.
Yeah. And my dog is named Rocky, so
Perfect.
the 80s thing, the 80s movies is real.
233, a couple of 233s from again Hope and Matt Jones. Hello to Gus. Appreciate you tuning in tonight, Gus. I see you. Gus says 687, by the way. And then who else we got? Looks like Chris Hester in the building. Perhaps, maybe. But we appreciate everybody tuning in to support the Sweep the Rack sweeper here. Rob Perushot.
Look at that.
Brooklyn
Nailed it.
Rob.
How you doing? Nailed it.
How you doing?
In the
Nailed the
building.
last
Shout out to
name.
Big Mike.
Big Mike, is he in the chat? It's probably already too late over in the East Coast.
Yeah, it's
over there.
11:37.
Yeah, 11:30. I got to be up at 4:30, and where it's 8:30 right now, and that's late for me.
Another 4:30 morning for you.
Hey, every day, 4:30.
Tomorrow's Friday. End of the work week.
Thank God. Happy almost Friday to everybody out there.
Chris, yes, that is Brett Wolf, by the way.
Yep.
The Brett Wolf, yes.
The Blue Hammer, the OG Blue Hammer.
Yep.
Man, but he still has a bunch of them. There wasn't anybody who threw that ball better in the history of bowling.
Swiss 710. I mean,
That's my brother.
I was gonna say, like, Brooklyn Rob knows who you are, right? You guys
my
aren't
brother.
doing the username game where you guys don't know each other.
No, Swish 710 is my brother Jeff. He's up listening, I would imagine.
Yeah, he said he was going to. He was bowling earlier during Squad 2, so he couldn't listen, but he was watching.
Yeah, Jeff's throwing it good. And
So this is what he's using to put himself to sleep tonight, instead of like like aquatic sounds or like rippling water or waterfall. He's like, oh, listen to some bowling.
yeah, he'll just put on my
Let it
podcast.
let
and
it
then
to put
fall
me to sleep.
Yeah, fall
Perfect.
asleep to my podcast.
Perfect.
I'm good with that, Jeff. If hey man,
Hey, whatever works, man.
we appreciate it. I appreciate it. Getting a couple extra views as you go to sleep. People have told me that I could do like one of those.
Com apps, you could be the voice.
I could be right. Yes. Yes.
Not me. No one's ever told me that. No one's ever told me that.
You've never been accused of that one.
No, I'm the guy they want in the alarm in the morning when they wakes up. You know?
I can roll with that. I can get a little Brooklyn Rob for me in the morning.
Hell yeah. You should have heard my mom wake me up in the morning. You'd think I was bad. I had to wake up as a kid every morning to my mom yelling in this Brooklyn accent.
I could like hear your voice in like the Waze app. As
Could you imagine?
yes,
Turn left. You missed the right, you dumb. Yeah.
What are you
I
doing?
like though. I like it.
Where are you going?
I know.
Pay attention.
Yeah, it's like, yo, there's a pizza place over here. Pull over.
Yeah. Are you hungry? Because I'm kind of hungry. I could go for some food right now.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, that's actually would be an amazing job.
Hey man, I mean, at this point, you can almost do anything you want.
That is
get a little
crazy.
social
You
media
say that.
behind
Yeah,
it.
you're right. You just catch a wave and get pushed forward, and it's going to go.
Just need the right person to hear you once.
I mean, when it comes to my podcast, two normal guys who have no bowling credibility at all started a podcast, and
Come on now. You guys got credibility. you
What
goof.
was the like when you, man? And if I want to make sure everyone hears that part again if we didn't get over it. But what was kind of some of the main factors of why you wanted to start the podcast? Why you did?
growing up in Brooklyn, some of my greatest childhood memories was sitting in the pro shop and just shooting it for hours with the pro shop.
And you hear the stories from the old guys, and
guys
just
and the
it's
action
just that whole thing. It's
and
awesome.
We always my master's is in communications and multimedia.
Okay.
So I went to school for web development and all that good stuff and Photoshop, and I had a background in computers and doing all that, and I just could never get a job doing it because I'd never had a programming background. So anyway, long story short, every job interview I went to, people were like, well, you should do sales. And I'm like, oh, God, okay, I'll do it. But one day, Mike, me and Big Mike bowled juniors together. We grew up bowling juniors. And I was at his house. I was visiting from the West Coast, and I was talking about, hey, that would be amazing just to start like a kind of a bowling talk show. And he's like, man, I've had that same idea. And I'm like, really? And Bill O'Neill was there in the basement. I'm like, Bill, is that a good idea? And Bill's just like, nah. No, you should.
I could totally see him sitting there going,
He goes, don't do it. He's like, seriously.
he's shaking his head. Just
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Bill was one of our biggest supporters and haters too at the same time, So yeah, I was able to find some software equipment, and me and Mike, after about 2 years of talking about it, doing it, we finally just decided let's just get on and start doing it. And then I realized after about 5 minutes of listening to Mike and how good Mike is on the microphone, and how clear and crisp he is, and he just almost like a seasoned veteran. I said this is going to work, because I had no experience at all doing any of that. Right. So I just followed his lead, and he still has taken the lead on a lot of it, and I just kind of chime in and make some jokes and give him some analysis every once in a while. And it was easy to get guests because nobody was doing it at the time.
Right, 5 years, right. Yeah,
this
that
is
was
before
very
Beef
early
and Barnsley.
And
This
then
is
what we now know is kind of the bowling podcast content network, if you will.
Yeah.
Content network. Yeah, there you go.
We had some amazing interviews. Yes, we talked with Norm Duke and Walter Ray and just Nelson Burton Jr., Marshall Holman. I mean, there's episodes out there which would But one of my favorite memories is the Joe Stillman interview. And if you guys don't know Joe Stillman.
Stillman. Wow. I haven't seen that guy forever.
Yep. And if you don't know Joe Stillman was a very loud action-type person bowler in the New York area. And he has a very famous 7-10 split from the Super Hoinky. And we did it. We brought him on. We did an interview with him in our first season. And after that interview, I said, this is so much fun and hilarious at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Especially we can share.
That's what's
I
up.
think there's so many stories from past, especially when you're talking about you're mentioning amateur stuff and events like this. And who knows, this could be an instant classic in some capacity.
Right.
But I know the same thing. You hear these stories of that. No way, that really happened. And then you get like 3 or 4 people can confirm. No, that did happen. At the high roller or the Hoinky or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some wild, crazy stories that. Yeah, that's a thing. That's what happens at bowling.
Yeah, the 7-10 story is absolutely amazing. So if you haven't listened to it, it's the first season. It's somewhere like episode like 8 or something.
No, you guys are only doing like your seasons are like a season is a calendar year. You don't do like the voice where it's like you have 3 or 4 seasons within a calendar year.
No.
Okay.
I just count every 20 episodes as a season.
All right, perfect. There you
I
go.
don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of
Yeah,
right.
so-
I mean,
Yeah.
sitcom, like think sitcom, like.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm like we're in season 11 right now, actually.
And we started last week. It's great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it went from interviews, and then when Beef and Barnesy came on, and they started taking all of the pros because they know everybody, and
Right.
me, I'm emailing and calling and trying to get
You're
connections.
your own producer.
Yeah. We decided to get away from a lot of the interviews, and once in a while we'll bring on I want to interview Schlamm. I love to spend an hour talking with him about some of the stories, and
Yeah.
it's a different kind of interview though. It's not talking about like bowling, boring, technical stuff. We're going to be talking about old.
Right. I mean, and that's what.
Fun
and that's
stories.
when what's funny is when you reminisce and you have those stories come up, or you share those stories, and sometimes I even you think back and go, wow, I was a part of that, or wow, I saw that, or I got to witness that, or it's all these. Yeah, there's so much stuff.
Oh, and I know you've seen it and heard it all in the bowling world.
Yeah, well, I mean, 10 plus years on the.
Oh man, we got a Mike Calderon appearance here.
Yeah, that's it.
Talk about old tour stories.
Yeah.
That man knows a lot too.
Yeah,
Seen a
no,
lot.
we actually I stopped by the shop and we talked about that yesterday. Yeah, it was.
Mike has a great facility here in Tempe. Beef Performance.
Absolutely amazing. I finally got to visit there, and actually, Emil went over there today.
I had to get my visit in today.
Yeah, I'd never been there, so I stopped there once I eventually got out of the airport yesterday. It's fantastic facility. We need more of those across the country is what we need.
Oh man, I mean, I remember my brother Jeff came to visit, and he went there for first time, and he looked at me and he's like, "Man, what a blessing to have that close to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, if I was actually bowling,
you're like, if I actually bowled, I would actually maybe go there."
Go there,
right?
And it's all on string pins too. And
yeah, he was showing me that whole thing and what he's done modification wise to get him to bounce around and fly like free, as we now dub it's free fall, or however you want to, traditional free fall, however you want to spin it. But because there's lots of that, and obviously I knew some of it, but I know the different machines and the different, and like he talked about, he's trying different kinds of pins, and it's this, it's that, to get him to to act the right way. So, but again, it's a process, and it having that. Not having to worry about machine, a 180 or anything locking up is like it's, the little pulley wheels it up, slides it back down, and away we go. So
it's the future of bowling, and I hate to say it. I know people aren't going to like to hear it.
I know, and people cringe in some cases. Oh, you can't say that. Oh no, we can say that.
It is.
And so as we get going here into the second game, fellas, I just want to bring to your attention. Obviously some pairs are only in like the first frame, but. The pairs that are a few frames in, there's not a lot of doublés or turkeys going on. Only a couple I see. So it's going to be interesting, like I said, to see how
you're
these.
saying that 700 situation may not.
Oh no, you guys are probably locked. I'm probably it was just going to be 9 300s the last game or something to get there. It could be one of those things.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize to everyone out there for bringing up the name Joe Stillman.
Why?
I got someone in the chat who, I don't know, maybe had a bad experience with Stillman and didn't like the fact that I brought his name up.
By the way, how many people had a bad experience with Rudy Kazmakis or?
Oh, I've been trying to get him on the show for years.
Rudy Revs, yeah.
Yep. I've reached out to him a few times, and
Yeah.
he
Have you talked
reads
to him?
my message. No, he reads my message
Okay.
and then doesn't respond.
All right.
If anybody knows Rudy,
I do.
post
I
him.
actually have his number. I can
All right.
I can reach out to him.
For
Yeah.
the love of that, what interview would be. That's like the
Yeah.
gold standard of interviews.
Yeah, I mean, you think about those guys, and that's the old school New York and the
Oh, yeah.
old crazy action bowling. There's some good
Chris.
ones there.
It's Chris, by the way. Rob. Chris Hester.
Oh, Chris Hester, yeah. High roller. Yeah. Sorry, Chris. That was
All
a
right.
great high roller match. If anybody, that Hester Stillman match in the high roller was one of my all-time favorites. We could talk high roller stories all day and
Yes.
be on this stream for hours just talking about it.
Yep.
But we do get a front row seat here to Mookie Betts, which is I'm very excited about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Slim, obviously, you know Mookie and gotten to know him pretty
Yeah.
well these last few years. And as a bowler, as a fan of the sport, watching from afar what he's been able to do, and I wasn't working in those events when he was bowling, yada yada. So I get a chance to see him for the first time today too, and then I want to assume that he would be bowling a squad or two of the regular event, but it really is just cool to see one of the best in baseball, arguably the best, shoe up in the sweeper tonight.
One of, yeah.
And just being out here with us, you know what I'm saying? It's like it just doesn't happen.
It's bowling, man. It's like anybody else. They're here to compete. And it's one of those deals that again, athletes being athletes, and in order to become one of the best in a sport, you got to play against the better players. And obviously, there's no tour stuff going right now. So, this is one of the next best things. Hey, I'll come bowl this. There's some, the sweeper, and bowl some squads, try and, claim a title. That's the way he sees it, because again, we got PBA, PWBA caliber players here. So, but yeah, like you said, you guys have been rattling off. We got all the local Hall of Famers. They've got some legends in their own right here. You think about the big picture of some of the names you guys rattled off, and those that are bowling, and some that will, potentially be Hall of Famers. So.
Yeah, Mookie got bit by the bowling bug.
Hard.
And
Yes.
It's once you get bitten by the bowling bug and you understand the complexities of the game and understand and try to learn it, and you see yourself getting better, you become hooked on the sport. And
Absolutely.
Then there's also the socializing factor of it. I think 90% of my friends today are from bowling. All my experiences and stories in my life have been from bowling. So yeah, it's been amazing, and you want to kind of give back a little bit too.
And that's the whole thing when you think about how blessed we are, because bowling, and we've mentioned before how bowling is a big family, and when you start putting in perspective the people across the country, some of the names you're rattling off, people out this way, they're like, I don't know, who are you talking about? They're like, oh, this is a buddy of mine from back home or back on the east. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these different, then you start. Same thing even for me sometimes. You just kind of scratch your head and go, wow, like I know people like literally from all over, not only the country but the world.
Yep.
And the fact of, we like the events that we work now with, we sponsor the TAT, and you obviously we've talked about that. You've been to a few of those.
Love that tournament.
The international. I mean we're averaging now between 14 and 16 countries coming to that event.
Yep.
So yeah, you start. It's just one big happy family. People do it because they want to compete.
Happy.
They want to have fun.
Well,
some are not.
Some
Some are just miserable. Let's face it. Some bowlers, and that's what I told somebody the other night. I'm like, some bowlers, even if their everyday life, they're just miserable. It's just the way it is. It doesn't matter if they got bowling shoes on, or if they're at work, or if they're going through a drive-through or getting gas. They're just mad. It is what it is.
Spend 10 minutes on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's miserable on that app. And
Yeah.
I'm there for it, too. It's like a train wreck that you have to watch.
Yeah, it's still my favorite app.
It's great. Brooklyn Rob 11, by the way. If you want to follow me.
It's the entertainment value.
Yeah. But I'll tell you about Mookie, though. You know, just left the 410 coming light. I would love to see him get more involved in the sport. You know, as prominent as he had, and obviously he's got connections with probably a lot of high-level sponsors that the PBA. I would love to see him get more involved. But you know, it's also too where you understand the guy is playing baseball for a living, and he's got probably no time to do it.
He's got a couple young kids at home, and so
family.
He's a dad, and that's what, you know. And you got the full time, and it's, you know, it used to be like there'd be an off season for those guys. Well, now he's got a little bit of it right now, but obviously they got the World Baseball Classic, and they got all the other things going on. In a case of, you know, his schedule, there's other things on top of that. So, yeah, it's, you know, first and foremost, you know, baseball, you know, baseball's number one, and you know, his family's right there in that mix. And then it's like, yeah, bowling's just a side shuffle. You know?
I'll tell you what, I'm jealous of him in the fact that probably by the age of when his baseball career is over, and you got to figure he'll probably play to, like, you know, you never know really what happens.
Depends on injuries and stuff like that.
Right, but you figure he's going to have, you know, from 35 on to just bowl, right? Like, he's going to have a lot more time after his baseball season's over.
And you know, and what's funny is we talked about that earlier today of, you know, some of the guys. You look at legends of the game, and you know, we're talking about the number of guys like Robert Smith getting ready to turn 50. Brian Hemling just turned 50. The next wave of the young 50s are going out there. Well, at the same token, Walter, Pete, Parker, all those guys are now in their 60s. They're super seniors. And it's just the evolution of getting to that, and the separation of like the tour life. Well, even your boy Bill O'Neill.
Yep.
So we've kind of been talking about it. You're talking about the career. Like, well, those guys are now in the window of they're in their 40s, can't really hang with the young kids, and they got to hope that maybe. And again, no offense to you guys, I love all you guys because I was out there with all you guys, but you know what I'm saying is like the next generation, and even Belmo's even kind of saying, he's like, man, he goes, these guys coming up, and it's like they're now seeing, they're like looking around the corner going, man, 50 is right around the corner. And these young guys are the deal. But like you said, a guy like Walter, Pete, Parker, they're still bowling, man. I mean, Norm Duke, a man walked away from it, rode off into the sunset. And he's doing a lot of appearances and things for us now, going to events. So,
love Norm.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite bowl growing up as a kid.
Yeah, you know, so it's, you know, not everybody has that, you know. I said, man, you going to bowl like senior major stuff? He goes, no, bro, I think I'm good. I think I've bowled enough. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
He might get the bug again, though.
He might, knowing him, but we'll see.
I hope he does.
So,
I want to see him bowl more. Always a fan favorite. Always knew how to play the crowd.
Yep.
Super entertaining. An absolutely amazing bowler. Probably one of the most versatile bowlers I've ever seen. And I bowled at the U.S. Open and crossed, hit on the pair following him, so I was seeing what he was doing. And the guy, this was, I believe, the U.S. Open. He was playing the 1-2 board for a game, and then he would move 20 boards left and slow hook it.
Yep.
And bowl 240, and then go back to the 1-2 board and bowl 240 again.
Yes.
And I'm like, this guy is absolutely amazing. Brett Wolf bowling really well right now. He's got a great look.
I was going to say, let's look at, we got, what, 5 and 6? Yeah, is that Brett that's got the strike spare 5-bagger?
Yep.
And then down here, looking like on, we got 19, 20, 21 and 22. Looks like a front 5.
Yeah, there's not a lot of scores. I see a lot of bad scores compared to
it looks like that
scores.
was Ari. It looks like he missed that shot. But again, when you're coming back to these other pairs, not a lot of doubles. Occasional turkey. Well, we got a
Wesley's bowling good too. I don't know.
We got open 4-bagger right here on 13 and 14.
I'll tell you though, I haven't seen Wes throw the ball in a few months.
Yeah.
And he looks really good right now. He, you know, really hard worker. You know, I always see him at B3. You know, he works there, but I always see him there, and he's bowling. What a talent too. And I love to see him start, you know, becoming a regular, making shows out on tour. And such a good kid too. Always fun to be around.
The crazy thing is there's a big separation, and again, you got friends that are tour guys.
Yep.
There's a big separation between those guys that are going to be constantly be a factor, and then the guys that are just a tier. And again, they're great bowlers in their own right, but they're still a tier below those guys. And there's some impressive talents. And then now you're mixing in just the raw talent of some of these kids coming out of college.
I mean, Anthony Simonson is you want to talk about talent for what he's done at his age and the versatility, and he might go down if his head stays on straight, right?
Yep.
Which is, hard to do in a certain way, right? When you're bowling for that long and you're traveling, and if he can keep his head on straight and he could continue bowling the way he's bowling, he might be able to not only beat Belmo's records, majors, but he might go down as the greatest bowler of all time. And I mean, that is a hypothetical, and that has been brought up. And actually, Belmo and I actually talked about that more than once, and that's definitely a thing. I mean, it's we got Brett Wolf up here. Does he like it off his hand? Oh, using, I believe, a Red Widow 2.0. It looks like
it's a Schlemmer Cloud. Look at Emil shaking his head.
Still got it, bro.
He's my man
All
all
day.
day. I've had the cloud working all day. And it's like by now, it's not even just a cloud. It's like the whole thunderstorm over the state of Texas, like sized. Like Del Ballard sized black cloud I've got. Man.
Well,
like, oh, hey, watch that. Yep. Every time. Ends a string.
So Adrian bowling on lane 9, daughter of Mike Miller.
Yes.
If you know Mike Miller, the old no thumb, the OG two-hander, one-hander.
He's really a good dude to talk to. Actually, he might be a great guest for Sweep the Rack, honestly.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah. I know. I love hearing old tour stories.
He, I get a chance to cover the New Mexico Open, and he, Dana, and Steve Mackey own the bowling center. He also puts together the lane pack every year, and it's difficult, tough, and but every year he tells me a story. The last couple of years I've gotten to know him, and he really would be a great guest. He would be perfect.
Sometimes I wish I could talk a little bit like off the record and air those interviews.
Sure.
Because once people know that people are listening, they tend to back off on some of the really good tour stories. But I wish I could put like a hidden mic in a room and talk to some of the old tour guys back in the 80s.
Yeah, there's some stories that can't be shared to public platforms.
I know, and I wish I could.
And those are the good stories.
Those
but,
are the best stories.
But yeah, there's plenty of other good ones like we talked about that are available that just maybe haven't surfaced or people have forgotten over the years. Prime example here, looking at 7-8 right here in front of us. High in the pairs 220.
Yeah, they're getting nasty.
190.
They are.
It's not that they're getting nasty. It's just like I said, it's the transitions and it's going pair to pair and who you follow, what's going on.
Those of may have missed the standings. I did post those in the chat. But Jeremy McElliott, who was bowling on 9 and 10, did shoot 234, and that was the high for game 1. Matt Jones and Hope Gramley, of course, we saw the 233s respectively. Mitchell Hayes shot 227. Kyler Adams 226. Josh Perry 224. I think that happened on 7 and 8. Chad Luke 216. Brendan Haw 215. Michael Dragon 212. Ari Wilson 210. There were 15 players plus after game 1. And
So what we have a segment on the podcast we call dumpster diving, and that's when we go to the bottom of the rankings and we look for people that we know that are in the bottom. I'm not going to go dumpster diving in respect to your show, but we always love to do that, especially during like majors. Literally, we'll start from the bottom, and as soon as we see a name we know, we'll give them the dumpster diving medal, the gold medal. That's what we call it. So if you guys want to listen to more dumpster diving stories, check out the podcast.
And make sure you follow their page, like their page. Follow them on Twitter or X.
Yeah, X. That's always be Twitter. There'll always be a bird, and it'll always be Twitter. It's like Cavalier will always be Cavalier in New Jersey, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's hard to say, I forgot what somebody, I go, well, Cavalier, and I had somebody look at me and they're like, oh, the blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, Cavalier. That's just what I call it.
Cavalier.
That's what it is, yeah.
Final shot at Brett Wolf. He'll be in the 240s.
It's a big game on this.
And what did Brett have the first game?
Brett Wolf had 194.
That's
Okay.
Yeah, hey. My 720 is not looking good, guys. I'll be honest with you.
No. But Brett could shoot 700 and get there.
I know. I'm hoping for 300 the last game, so I don't look like that much of an idiot.
Over on 13, Shlem, that is Justin Sims, I believe, right? Justin
Yes, sir.
Sims. And we watched him bowl earlier today, and at least this game too. He started a little slow, but looking pretty good again on this pattern.
Look at that.
Sounded good. Yep.
The lanes.
What do you have the first game?
Can't
He
go
shot
left to right.
155.
Okay. Yeah. So again, depending on what pair he caught, but yeah, he did develop a look. And again, and like we talked about earlier, it's one of those things of some people are, using this as a way to make some extra money, but others are going to kind of use this as a practice session because they're, and again, you're not going to get to, you're maybe not going to see what happens in games 5 and 6, or even 4, because obviously there's only 3 games, but having 4 people on a pair now does change things because this last squad, the second squad today, there was a couple pairs that only had 2. So the transitions were totally different, especially when you start throwing more bowlers, more balls going on the lane, more spare shots.
Yeah, like Hope right now is struggling a little bit. She's on like a 180 pace this game. Just kind of grinding this one out. No doubles and 1 open. She can go out for 2-0. That would be huge after going 230.
Yep.
Even Jeremy.
Yep. You could see it though, like if you watch the ball going down the lanes compared to the first game. I mean, it is the transition looks vicious and fierce. Is kind of how I'm gonna put it.
Okay.
Yeah, quick too with all the mills and the oil they're using too.
Curve.
Yeah, the curve oil, right? That's supposed to not transition is fast down the lane, right? I don't know a lot about it, but
it does have a tendency to move around a little bit. And so again, you throw in the other variables of, like we talked about, topography, surface friction, all those fun things. There's just a lot that goes into it.
So Chris wants to go on tour with me when we turn 50. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Dude, well, me and Chris would have some amazing tour stories if we went on tour together. Guarantee you that. Let's see what else is going on around us. People are struggling. I don't know how else to say it. With a field this good and the scores are this low. But look, this is why I love tournaments like this, honestly. I'd rather see this as a bowler than them put out an easy shot and be in a carry contest.
And that was one of the deals that Carlin, because Carlin and I talked about this from kind of his conception from about a year ago, and then getting to the spot of, okay, putting up this kind of money, you don't want to make it a carry contest because but at the same time, you don't want to make it to where they're virtually impossible. I mean, obviously, like prime example here, 11 and 12. These guys are learning, and that's one of those things. But some of these other pairs, there's a 200, there's a 220. Brad had 240. Andrew had 212 that game. Andrew Kane. Again, you're talking about a Hall of Famer and a guy who won a Masters. You're talking about 2 great bowlers. But at the same time, they didn't start that way, and then you get over, like you were just talking about Hope. She started with 230, and now she's going to hope that she can get to 180. She's given everything back that she got that first game. So, so in other words, they're playable. They're not impossible, and they're not stonewalled. So,
See, the good thing about a shot like this is if Hope manages to pull double, right? For instance, she bowls 190 this game.
Yeah.
190 she's not gonna fall that far down the standings.
Correct.
She'll stay in the top 5.
Absolutely.
And that's the great thing about shots like this is on a carry contest in a high scoring event, you bowl 190. you're going to drop in the standings real quick.
Correct.
190 on this is actually might even move you up the way the scores look.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, and that's like I said.
The one thing that's consistent so far through 2 full squads and now 2 games of this sweeper is from games 1 to 2. We think we get the impression based on how game 1 goes, and they could put up some score on the fresh. I feel like that's been pretty consistent. That this game 2 situation is a huge question mark. Just basically just throw the Riddler out there in the question mark costume, and that's what you get.
Nope. I think by game 3 you're the Joker. You got the clown outfit on. You're leaving the bone center in a wig and a.
No, wait a second. Does it make game 4 the Penguin? Like, what do we got going on here? How's this going to work?
Yeah, you go from Batman the first game to the Riddler to the Joker.
Oh, there you go. Hope catches a strike, first shot in the 10th. So she's still got to pop to, like you said, maybe not lose as much. Yeah, because again, you're looking at some of these other pairs, like I said, down that way, and can only see, my eyes only give me about 21, 22, and again, you're looking at some 160s, 150. So 2-teen.
So we're talking about tough shots, Schlem, and I got to ask you, in your experiences, in your days, what has been the, like, just in memory, the hardest shot you've ever seen them put out on tour? Is there a tournament that sticks out to you?
The one year, the one, I mean, obviously U.S. Opens and were always kind of tough, but playable, and that's kind of what I related this one to. The one vivid memory that sticks out was the Tournament of Champions at Mohegan Sun when they went 50 feet. And, man, they, like, and
the pros don't like that too much, do they?
They didn't like, so I'll give you a crazy one. So, you guys...
Go for it, man. We're all friends here. Just let it go.
My man THB.
Okay. That's a great way to start a story.
Dick Allen comes to me, and he was on staff with us at the time, and he goes, Schlem, I want to drill a block-weighted plastic ball. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, bro, it's 50 feet. He goes, I know. And finish it too. And so my man went, so he block-weighted a plastic ball, sanded it to 500. He almost made the show because he could keep it online, basically ropes to the pocket. And I think Rob, I don't know if Rob made, we'll have to ask Rob. I can't remember I think he had a pretty good run on that 50-foot.
Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun, it was a 50-foot pattern.
Wow.
And it was like some of the other guys,
they don't like
talk
that.
about upset.
Fry out Friday. Fry out.
Practice session. It was before even that started.
They're frying out of practice.
You guys are going to do this, blah, blah. Well, here's the other option. Don't bowl. You earn your spot to the TSC. So either you bowl or you forfeit, give the other guy a forfeit, let him advance to the next round. So
the pros don't like them that tough. I mean, that tough, like impossible tough.
Correct. And it wasn't, and they were,
yeah.
I mean, it was, and like you said, Richie, he made it almost to the show, and it was like his, I want to say, like his high game was like 2-0.
I got the itch to bowl. Theo,
he's got a rash right now. I don't know what's going on. He's got an itch.
I'm looking at the
breaking
shot
out
here.
hives. Yeah, he's got everything going on.
I'm looking at the shot here, and I'm actually, the itch went away for for a few hours.
Well, you must have saw an inch or something whenever you said, it's going to, what'd you say, 720 something? Okay, just checking. Just making sure we're all on the same boat here.
This was the first game when we saw a lot of Batman. A lot of Batman were walking around.
Game one
Batman.
for sure.
Yep,
is Batman. Like you can get out there in the Batmobile. You got all the trinkets. You got everything on you.
And I gave you all flying. I gave you all 685, and I think I'm going to be too high.
And then
685.
Yeah, we got some good guesses too.
We got
Gus
some
put out 685 too.
Yeah, we got some. It could, like you said, Brett Wolf could maybe sneak out another decent game, depending on, again, what the next pair is.
Game 3 is next, folks. We're waiting for a few pairs just to make their switches.
Yep.
Move on down to 7, 8, 9, and 10, 5 and 6 respectively. Shout out to my guy Ryan Council. I was talking about Ventura, California earlier. Shout out to Ventura. Shout out to Town. Appreciate you tuning in. Neil Williams Jr., Rob Harushad, and Chris Schlemmer, Roto Schlim.
That guy.
Here with you, the Sweep the Rack sweeper here. Good partnership between the Agent On Open and the Sweep the Rack podcast. Of course, Brooklyn Rob is here hanging out with us for this 3-game spot. And it's been an interesting look, to say the least. I guess, I didn't really, from what we watched earlier, as we've been talking about, didn't expect too much, but I did think maybe with the caliber of player and more players in the field that the scores might go a little bit higher, but that's a no.
It just shows you the highest caliber bowlers, they could put out a shot that's really tough, and it's really easy to bowl 160. It's easy to bowl 130. I mean, I can't count it there's so many times when, you go out of the gate 130 and you're like, what am I doing here? And you start questioning everything about.
You start you're questioning life choices, and then you're really questioning life choices when you get to that and go, yeah, was this really worth all the money and time and effort and everything like that?
Right. Well, the best is when you're like 5 frames into a tournament and you start trying to figure out the different ways you could have used the money that you entered the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's a $150 entry. Well, I could have went to a steakhouse.
I was going to say that's the first thing about my head.
Yeah.
Go have a nice steak.
I know, a nice dinner. I could have bought, maybe a.
Could have been 7 minutes at the casino. Whatever.
Hey, that would have been probably a more quicker, painless way to lose money than sit there for 8 games and deal, with the shot. So you start questioning your life choices, essentially. Those are the best kind of tournaments when you have 7 games left and you have to, talk to God for 7 games, essentially. Like,
baby Jesus, I apologize. Next time I will think before I enter.
Yeah, and I'm always looking for good fry outs too. So whenever I hear something bang or a thump, I'm always looking to see like what's going on.
Yeah, was it an accidental drop or?
Yeah, or was it someone like frying out, which is
always
a fun, entertaining, as a spectator to witness. We got Brandy Calderon from B3 on 10 here.
Yep.
She's throwing it good. I haven't seen her throw the ball in a while. Whenever I go to B3, she's working, so I don't get a chance to watch her bowl as much.
Yep.
She had a chance to get to 240. Unfortunately, split first shot in the 10th frame in game 2, but she had 240 available.
Do you feel like, Schlem, that this favors really top high level female bowlers, the way the shot is right now, that they could just kind of keep it up and in a little bit and not cover too much area on the lane?
I don't think that that's the case, because again, it's a tilt roll thing. It's making your ball do the right thing. And actually, Brandon and I talked after she got done this morning. She's a little bit out on tour over the years, and so I've known her a long time.
Sure.
And it was one of those deals of she's like, she goes, I just kept having this feeling, and everybody's like, oh, you got to stay to the right, stay to the right. She goes, I needed to get left. I said, you needed to get left faster because of her ball speed and kind of the way she has that little flip off of her hand. And she's like, see, she goes, I was thinking I could have done that. And I go, yeah, yes, you could have got there 2 games faster. I said, and then navigated bowling balls as opposed to trying to. She goes, yeah, I was trying to feel like I was trying to fit it in there. And I go, you've got the slow enough ball speed, and you can make your ball slow down in the right spot. And I said, plus you got that little trick off your hand. And she grinned ear to ear. She goes, yeah. She goes, my trick's still kind of there. She doesn't necessarily twirl it, but it's kind of just like she catches it just enough, kind of like a different version of Hope. Obviously, Brandy's a little bit older.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, we talked about it. So, obviously that's the deal of obviously tonight transition a little bit different. But see, this morning when she was bowling, she kept trying to play right of that, and she was just She's like, dude, I was just crossed up. And I'm like, yeah, you can't. I said, you've had to let the lane tell you. She's like, but everything bowling around here, everybody's like, oh, you got to say the right, say the right, say the right. I go, yeah, this isn't everyday bowling around here. You know, what you guys are accustomed to. So
I love watching the PWBA. You know, now that the Bowl TV kind of merged, you know, so they've got PBA and the PWBA. It's such still a purist form for me watching as a high competitive fan. The moves in a step ladder, to watch them actually, like the men is a little bit different because of the fact that there's a lot of two-handers, high rev rate, they're overpowering the lanes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The women still have to make those subtle adjustments, the ball changes, the left moves, and it's such a different way to watch when you're watching the women compared to the men. And I actually love watching the women more than I watch the men on a competitive bowling like level.
Yep. As does most bowling fans, I think, because they can, exactly what you said, they can relate to it. Because the rev rate, I mean, that's the rev rate thing. And it's not even, and you mentioned the two-handers, but I can say even just a couple years ago when I hadn't been out there in a while on tour and I stopped in one event, and it happened to be when Duke won back-to-back a couple years ago before he retired. I fixed his swing that week. All of a sudden he's like, Schlem, watch me throw a shot. I'm like, watch him throw a shot? I go, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm doing this and this. I go, yeah, no, you're not. But watching some of the young guys then, and I'm like, these guys have more rev rate with one hand than the two-handers do. You know, especially when you look at a guy like Simo, who's the lowest rev rate of the two-handers.
Right.
And it's crazy, and especially when I correlate it to what Robert Smith was back in the day. Robert was the guy. He was
Maxim Bob.
He was 2 arrows. He could get 2 arrows left of everybody.
Right.
And now, like, and I even mentioned to somebody, I think we were talking last night. I go, man, I said if Rob in his prime was on tour now, he'd be a tweener. Like, he's not even in the same category.
Wild.
It's so crazy to me, and I mean that I've been around to see that, but
well, guess what? Robert Smith turns 50 in 2 months.
I know.
So guess who's going to go back to being 2 arrows left of everybody?
Exactly. We talked about it. Yep.
I can't wait to see him. And we talked to him on the podcast a few times in the last week. And when I found out that he was going to be bowling a lot of those events, I was all jacked up to see him bowl step ladder. You know, it was always fun to watch. I mean, just the nostalgia of him throwing messengers. And I mean, these weren't just like lazy messengers. These were like tomahawk.
No, they were tomahawk one hoppers across the deck.
Never hit the approach. Might even knock down 10 pins on the right lane if it kept going.
The one year in Reno when he snapped the head off of a pin because they're twisters, and he didn't like bowling on twisters. But the mechanic comes up and he's like, "Hey, bro, can you calm down a little bit?" He's got, he's got the head of the pin in the one and the belly and the rest of it. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, did I do that?" I mean, that was what Rob was doing back in the day. But, it's crazy, like I said, the evolution of, just kids, the younger generation now.
Yep. Let's see, we got a front 4 here on lane 8. I don't think we've seen that yet.
Yeah.
Curious if it's that, we'll see if it's Zach Schroeder. He was pretty solid earlier today. He bowled squad 1 this morning. Out the gates, 247, I think.
Yep.
Look how solid Brandy is at the line.
Yep. And see, that's kind of like I said, it was one of those deals of it took her till like game 6 before she finally got to that spot. And now here she is. She's in that spot. Game 3. So she's a good bowler. She's going to figure it out.
Oh, yeah. So, Schlem, could you fix my swing in a few minutes if you watch me bowl?
Yeah, sure. We can.
Yeah, so why haven't you done it? We need to get to the tat.
You said you quit bowling, so it's kind of hard to fix a swing that's not working.
Schlem said he's going to fix my swing at the tat.
If you got your swing on the shelf, I mean, it's kind of hard to.
No, I'm back, baby. I'm back.
Oh, you.
I'm out of retirement.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. No, I got to work, man.
Give him a phone lesson today.
Carl wants me to bowl
he keeps getting the whole deal of, I got to work. I got to work.
I got to use that. Hey, I got to use that as an excuse.
I hear you.
So I don't have to bowl on this shot.
Hear you clucking. I hear you clucking.
The scores are low, Carl, huh? Did they get posted up for the second game yet?
No, let me check.
I kind of want to see what's going
I
on.
don't think so because that area down there just got done. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, they're down here on 17 and 18. We got a 4-bagger as well to start. Spare double.
Is that Zach Schroeder?
Yeah, that's him.
That's what it says on his shirt.
I
Yo,
knew he was in the mix over there.
Yo, that's taking a lot of moxie to go with the Hawaiian shirt, I think. You know, you got.
Let's see him right of your screen.
Oh, he's using a Summit sandblasted. Just kind of just hanging around the pocket, it looks like, not trying to do too much. I think that's the trick on this pattern, it looks like, is try to keep it in front of you a little bit and not really put too much area, too much left to right.
Carl is back with us for a minute. Carl, you've been, I assume, up and down the concourse a little bit. What's the vibe? What's the vibe of this sweeper now that you had a chance to kind of look at it from afar, if you will?
Honestly, everyone's saying tough but fair. Challenging.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah, and definitely.
Mission
I
accomplished.
haven't seen anyone like pissed. You know what I mean?
I know, I'm waiting for it though, Carl. We were just talking about the fry out. I've been waiting for it.
Oh, it's gonna come.
I know. We might have to put the Bowl Stream TV cameras on the set tee areas instead of the lanes, so people could see a good fry out. And then we could commentate to it too, like play-by-play on it. You know, slow motion of someone kicking a ball return or breaking a soap dispenser in the bathroom. Because that's what we used to do back in college. We didn't want anybody to like ever see us fry out, so we used to go into the men's room and just break a soap dispenser and then come back out. You know, so people like were always pissed.
I don't think I was ever good enough to care that much.
I mean, at that age,
You're going to get like a random proprietor
a Bill
of the
sentiment.
collegiate event.
Oh, I remember that
Listen to
guy.
the
That's going to request an appearance and sweep the rack.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, was that you back in 2000 who broke my soap dispenser in the bathroom? And I plead the fifth. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen people throw balls through walls. I saw someone throw a shoe down the lane. That was a good one. Yeah, left, I think 3 stone 10s in a row, and then the third one just decided to take the shoe off and throw it at the pin. So yeah, good fry out. It's always fun.
Has Big Mike jumped on?
Oh, it's too late for him. It's literally 12:30.
No, was he on earlier?
No, it's still too late for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I figured I might have caught a little bit.
If it was a weekend, he'd be on for sure.
Fair enough.
He doesn't miss bowling stuff, especially, you know, knowing that I was going to be on. He'll definitely probably go back and listen to it, though. Yeah, because make sure we weren't talking, you know, crap about him.
But again, Rob, thank you for being a part of this sweeper.
Yo, man, this is awesome. I'm usually in bed by now. What time is it? Oh, 9:30. I've already been Thursday nights, 9:30. I've been in bed over an hour already. So this is a different change for me.
Like completely sleep?
I'll tell you, Carl, he knows. Oh yeah, sleep. I already been in bed by 8:30.
But sleep, not just in bed,
No,
just waiting to go.
Lights go off by 8:45. You know,
My man.
you know, watch some streaming YouTube videos, and the iPad falls on your face, and then you kind of go to bed. But Carl, let's talk about hospitality, man. My guy here knows how to very hospitable.
Hospitable? Sure.
Hospitable.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I was talking about the food last night at his house.
Brightside Catering.
Dude,
Adam.
pork
Chef
belly,
Adam.
pork belly sliders, prime rib, lobsters. I mean, literally, like, if I would have known that spread was coming out, I went to 8 for like 2 days.
I sent you the invite with the menu.
You did. I didn't check the menu out. I'll be honest with you. I just got the invite.
He thought he was going to get like burgers and hot dogs and some pretzels. or
Hey, I was
something.
happy with whatever, man. You know, you take what you could get at this time. But like, if I knew that spread was coming out, man, I would have starved myself for like 2 days.
So quick shout out to Brightside Catering, though. Chef Adam Allison, a Chop Champion, was our chef, along with Jeff Krause, that owns the Crate Bar here in Tempe, Arizona. Those guys are absolutely amazing chefs, and they fed us like kings and queens last night.
Man,
So thank you guys so much.
I slept like a baby. All right, we got 2 games up. Ooh, Matt Jones. Yo, that 720 could still hit.
It could. Plus 75 for Matt. Brett Wolf is plus 42. Ari Wilson, Josh Perry tied at for third at plus 27. And Kyler Adams plus 24. That's fifth. Jed Luch plus 15. That's sixth. Hope Gramley 7th at plus 14. Andrew Kane 8th at plus 10. Mitchell Hayes 9th at plus 3. And Jeremy McElliott plus 2. 10 players plus. How many potential spots might cash in
We are
this?
paying 9.
9, okay.
And there's a lot of bowlers knocking on the door right now.
Right. Ninth is
Dylan
plus
Taylor, Aaron Yamamoto, Kyle King, Zweig. I mean, Wesley. There's a lot of bowlers knocking on that door right now.
This is an amazing field. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's even better that since I'm not bowling. If I was bowling the field, all of a sudden, it would have got a lot worse.
Stupid. Where's your brother,
Which one?
Jeff?
Jeff is he's on. We've been watching.
Why is he not bowling?
Yeah, he doesn't leave the state of Florida.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff.
Well, Jeff, I said hello. It's been a long time.
Yeah, Jeff has been bowling really well. He also does a really good ball reviews on YouTube. Switch 710 bowling. So yeah, I got to give him a little bit of a shout on his ball reviews. I'm not a big ball review guy, and I've been very vocal about it on the podcast. But you always got to be careful on who's selling you bowling balls out there. But
I got a closet full.
I mean, we all do. It's a bowling ball epidemic. I mean, we've all got bitten by the epidemic. A new ball release every month, every 2 months. But, you know, that's the state of the game right now.
Quick look at the scores on your screen, folks. So get those out of your way. Make sure you click the pin link at the top of the Bowlstream TV chat. It takes you right to tournamentbowl.com. That's where you can find all of the standings this week. If you want to look at standings from each individual squad, you can. Take a look at standings from squads 1 and 2, of course, earlier today as well.
Oh, that's a costly 210 right there. Zach was 127 on the 5th on a double and leaked it a little bit right in E210. That's how hard this pattern is. A little bit of a leak right, and even you're throwing a 500 grit summit, ball that never came back.
Shout out to Jason Lowry. Shot 300 at the Cactus Classic a few months back. And the situation I was telling that story earlier, he was when there was no one with a 300 look. The 300 look wasn't out there, and somehow not only did he shoot 300, but he made the cut. Got himself to match play.
Yeah.
He was talking about bowling the sweeper earlier, and he came out to bowl it.
It was like pulling teeth to get him the ball. Now he's here.
Oh, that's right.
He
Yeah,
is
we don't
hemming
know
and
if he's
hawing.
bowling.
But it's great to see Brandy out here as well.
I know. I'm used to seeing her working at B3 and not
Right.
bowling.
Like I said, I've known Brett and Brandy for so many years, and it's great to see Mike.
I know.
You know,
I
out,
was
out here in the concourse.
I was joking about Mike because every time I see Mike, he's behind the glass drilling bowling balls.
Right.
Literally, that's all I'd known him is behind the glass drilling bowling balls. So when I seen him outside here, I said, Mike, where's the glass? You're supposed to be drilling bowling balls. I'm not used to seeing you on like outside of B3.
Right.
I'll tell you, he works hard there.
Great facility.
Oh, yeah, he works hard there. They're busy every time I walk in there. And, you know, all I want to do is, like, catch up and talk stories. And he's drilling balls, and he's probably like, oh, great pair of shots here. He's going to want to talk stories, and I got 100 balls to drill here.
Well, we're getting ready to close this out. And then one more big item for the evening.
Oh, a huge item.
Very big item.
Big
That's
action
right.
match we got tonight.
Robert Smith versus Gregory Thompson Jr. It's 9:32 local time right now, and giving it a quick scan across the building.
We're almost there.
I think everybody is well past at least in the 6th frame. Looks like many or most are in the 7th frame. So the match actually might start earlier than maybe we even thought, potentially.
What was the initial guess?
Well, we talked to you earlier. Slim had some thoughts about it too. So I was like, somewhere between 10 and 11. Obviously, that's a full 60-minute window.
Gives yourself a lot of room there, sir.
But we went from 11 to maybe 10:30ish, and I'm still 10:30ish might still be popping.
So we will be dressing 3 pairs from left to right, and we're going to use the middle pair. So that way, get the machine warmed up. Pair 1, lay it pair 2, break down, crossing fingers. I don't want to put that in the world, but break down pair 3, just in case.
Look at the hospitality by the Age of Nine Open. The only tournament I've ever been a part of that will oil 3 pairs for an action match.
It needs to be done.
I mean,
these guys are willing to shoe up and bowl for $1,000 a game, and we're going to promote this for as many months as we have, and to have you guys be a part of it, and everyone tuning in from, in theory, potentially from all over the world, different countries or whatnot. I'm going to give them the fairest opportunity to give us the best show that they can give on this tough condition. I mean, it could be 220 versus 220. It could be 160 versus 2-0. I mean, who knows? They both had an opportunity to bowl one squad earlier, and they both had a piece of the sweep. So now they're 8 games in. They might have a clue. They might, or 9 games in. I'm sorry. So they might have a little bit of a clue. They might not. We'll see. Like I said, I'll stand by the fact that I'm going to say I hope they do a 3-2 because of my friendship with those guys. I know Rob wants to see a 5-0 and get someone get whacked. But
Yeah, I want to see a massacre. No, to be honest with you, I want to see close matches.
I just want to see good bowling.
Close matches.
Yep.
Close matches are exciting. There's nothing worse than watching a show from home that is over in like the 6th frame. Like, it's just all the drama and excitement comes in the 10th frame when, someone needs a double, someone needs to make a spare. I mean, think about some of the craziest moments in PBA history. Just thinking off the top of my head, Mika missing that 10-pin to lose to Norm Duke in that major was one of the most craziest drama-filled ending to a major.
By the way, Rob won the U.S. Open against Norm on the opposite side.
Right. Yeah, and think about, like Randy Peterson's Stone A-pin.
yeah.
Like, I mean, all
Brutal.
the really moments. Pete Weber, who do you think you are? I am, right? Needs a strike to win. I mean, it's just close matches make shows. So.
And speaking of Pete, please get better. We wish you were out here. We understand, and we hope you feel better soon.
Yeah. Bowling is better with Pete Weber.
Absolutely.
In general.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what it is. Tournament, PBA 50, PBA 60, regular tour, whatever it is. Bowling is always better with Pete Weber. You love him or you hate him, but you watch him, right?
Fair enough.
So what's going on here? Zach Schroeder, 228. Pretty good.
That washout on the
Matt
the second
Jones.
shot in the 10th.
Well,
What'd
Matt
he shoot?
Jones just walked by and said he shot his nice 701.
Is that what he said?
Wow.
Oh, I gotta give him the pound of meal here. 701.
I called 702 to win.
701, huh? The GOAT.
Wow, look at this guy.
The GOAT, man.
Look at that grin on his face. Hey.
See, this is the guy you should have be sitting in the booth, not me. Oh, my goodness. No, what are you talking about? Every time I cross with Matt Jones at the tat, he beats on me. It's like a yearly tradition for me.
This, he's been messaging me, throughout the weeks leading up to it. He messaged me today. He had a game plan, and he stuck to it, and here we are, 701.
701.
Great bowling, sir.
Will
Great
that score
bowling.
hold? I think it will. I think it will. It'll be interesting, though. I don't see any really big scores
Yeah, I mean, Brett
Well,
was.
we are going
Brett was
30 lanes
42
down.
over.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he'll need like 250 something, right?
Which is not out of the question.
Not,
Brett Wolf.
not at all. It is Brett Wolf.
What are we talking
The
about?
OG of
Oh,
the
like,
Blue
I'm sorry.
Hammer.
What?
I
Like,
mean,
it's not me out there.
I
It's not
won.
like I need a double to win anything. It's
Yeah,
Brett
me
Wolf. he needs an
go.
8-bagger. He can go get it.
Hey, me either. That's great. 7:01.
That's great bowling.
On this, for sure. I'd be happy with 601.
You know what the funny thing is about Matt, though?
Oh, good
He
play.
hasn't seen this pattern yet till just now.
That's a great point.
He did not bowl squads 1 or 2.
The only thing we know he did for sure was watch.
First, right. So the question is, tomorrow, when he does shoot up again, and he bowls the full 6, does transition, as with seems like everybody else, catches 1 or 2 games that makes you wonder,
I
is
think-
that really there, or is how long is it going to stay?
I think personally, I think it's inevitable from that perspective. I think one game at least, and you know, things are gonna be different tomorrow. They just are. It's just gonna play slightly different tomorrow. It just is.
Right. and honestly, that was one of the reasons when we had this as a 6-game. For the 1 and 2 games that might not so much cripple you, but to put you behind.
Sure.
Giving you that fighting chance over a 6-game marathon versus like a 3-game sprint. That was one of the things that I discussed with quite a few guys and girls, was trying to figure out what's a long enough format, not go crazy, but enough to where can you give yourself enough time and enough frames to unbury yourself should you have an off game.
I like 6-game qualifying. I mean, I've always been a fan of more games. Oh, I've always hated the 2 to 3 game like qualifying squads. They did that at the mini eliminator. They do it at the TAT. And you feel like, you got to come out of the gate firing.
Sure.
Both 670 to 700 scratch.
Well, you can't miss.
You can't afford a bowl 180 or 190.
Well, it was like the 2-game sweepers for the rollers.
Right. Yep. You had to come out.
It's such a crapshoot.
Yep.
And you had to almost go like 5-0
Yep.
in 2, or you weren't going to get that check. And,
Yep.
and God bless Tim Mack for being able to do it all the time.
Oh man, I could talk. Oh, I watched some amazing 2-game sweepers.
Unbelievable.
Dan McClellan one year at the 2-game sweeper bowled 600 for a sweeper.
For 2 games?
For 2 games. And my first.
Did he lose?
What? Yeah. Well, my first question to him after I found out he bowled 600 was, "Well, did you win all your brackets?" And he just kind of like thought about it for a sec, and he was just like, "Oh my goodness."
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So. It's the 2-game sweeper. Always at the high roller was always a fun tournament to bowl because they'd put out some 32-foot flat, 28-foot flat pattern, and you'd sit there and watch Brian Kretzer and David Haynes and Tim Mack standing from the left gutter, throwing it to the right gutter, and bowling 500, and you're sitting there bowling 320, trying to open the lane up. And
When you beat me by 200 in 2 games, it's a killing.
oh, I mean, what a wake-up call as an 18 and 19-year-old bowling on that pattern. Used to bowling juniors and with all kinds of oil in the middle of the lane, and then you put you on a 32-foot flat pattern. It's like
Well, we are
cruelty.
coming to an end. I'm going to let you guys go. Again,
Great job,
Rob.
Powell. This is great.
Amazing. Thank you again, Rob, for being a part of it. And are you going to stay to present your,
I
your
don't
little
know.
trophy?
Oh, I'll stay for the trophy for sure. The action match
yeah.
I might have to
Okay.
cut out early.
Well, I'm going to get you your trophy, sir, so you can go ahead and give that to the eventual winner.
Awesome.
And I guess I'll give you that check, too.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if I want to sign it, but
No,
I'll
it's-
give you the first place check,
Yeah,
too. to hand
your
out.
big check reminds me of that scene of Happy Gilmore when he's asking like for the big checks. He's like, I want that check. And in the back seat of his car, he's got all the big checks.
No.
Like I love the big check.
Well, this
I mean,
is
it's
a
the only
legal.
way to be.
This
It's the only
next
way to
one I'm
be.
going to give out is a legal tender check. This guy can go out, and he or she can go out and cash it. So I'm going to go get those checks ready. You guys have a good one. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right, Carl.
Carl.
Yeah, Hester brought up the Boot Hill sweepers. Oh man, the Boot Hill. What Woody used to do was just straight torture those shots.
He's still. They just had one. He just had one.
still running those
last
Woody?
weekend. It was 10K actually.
Oh, yeah?
Speaking of 10Ks, we were talking about other 10Ks and Chris dropping boot here. I'm like, yeah, he just had one last weekend.
Wow. Yeah,
Literally.
Woody was he loved making the shot like almost impossible to
Yeah.
the point where people didn't want to bowl. You know, he tried to run the boot hill out in Vegas one year, guaranteed the money, but they were just so hard that nobody wanted to bowl. You know, and yeah, there's a little bit of a, you know, you got to make them a little bit playable for these people. Like, nobody wants to travel thousands of miles and shoot 400 for 3.
I think he had I think it was like a 1-in-5 cash payout ratio too last weekend. Similar from
Yeah, he
it
always
was-
has great payouts
yeah.
over there.
It was 2 6-game rounds of blocks, and like both were kind of extremes. One was like a 34, let's just say it's 34, 35 feet. The other was like maybe 50, 51. Could be wrong, but you got both extremes, and there was a step ladder attached to it at the end. It was.
Are you work those in the streaming?
I haven't, but
No?
we've had some conversations actually. You brought Woody up. We've talked in the past. So, and when I saw what was happening, I'm like, oh shoot, okay, let me put that back in my my memory bank to kind of reach out and see what he and shout out to Jerry Mars helping him out as well. One thing you guys mentioned, Dan McClellan.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Barker, who just bowled on 9 and 10, is from Canada, and so I'm like, man, when you shared his name, I just remember him. Our college bowling paths crossed at the same time, and I just remember watching him strike really, at sometimes endlessly.
I'll tell you a story about Dan McClellan real quick. You know, he bowled for Saginaw Valley,
Right.
and I was there. I left. I bowled my 4 years, and the year after he came in, so I just missed it. But I was still in school.
Gotcha.
There, and he just came in. He's for a few months, and you know, we were friends, and we always like joking around. But I decided one night to call him out after league, and said, "I'm going to bowl you best 4 out of 7." And we bowled on a sport condition league, and we're going to bowl for a Chinese buffet, best 4 out of 7. So. I didn't realize how good he was. I didn't. I was like, this kid's good, but I didn't realize how good he was. Like, you know, and he beat me 4 straight. Didn't have a chance.
He came out firing like his freshman year, like
Right. Oh,
just out the game.
incredible bowler. Would love to see him still out there because I guarantee you he'd have multiple titles and majors and whatnot. But anyway, so then I decided, like, okay, 2-0 bowl game again, and then he kicked my ass again in another game. So 5-0, he just absolutely hammered me. I never bowled him after that. And then I realized how good he actually was. And I wish he was still bowling out on tour because, you know, good kid, but man, that kid could strike.
I'm telling you, without question. Without question. What time, about how long do you have until you need to present?
Oh, I don't know, whenever they have the scores. And I've never presented a trophy. I don't know if they're going to have to give me a microphone. Am I going to have to, like, say something?
I mean, maybe. I feel like
I might
doubt it. It's a very, casual experience tonight here.
I might take the mic and just, like, start talking to everybody. Like, once you give me the mic, I might never shut up. But this is awesome. I appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun for me, honestly. The 3 games went by super quick. I don't ever get a chance to do stuff like this. I'm usually in bed or at work. So
I appreciate you, again, you and Big Mike, putting your name on this sweeper and being a part of what Carl is and his wife Kathy have put together.
You know what's funny is we're not even doing this to, like, gain, like, viewers and subscribers and try to do all that. We just love supporting, like, good bowling tournaments. Like, we're trying to give back a little bit to the bowling world that has given so much to us growing up as kids, and to support a tournament like this is really important to keep high competitive bowling alive, because we know, like, high competitive bowling right now is, you know, you see a lot of the tournaments like the high rollers and the mini eliminators that carried high competitive bowling for so long that kind of just died, and you want to support tournaments like this that are in their first annual. That's what keeps high-level competitive bowling alive, really. Tournaments like this, tournaments like the Cactus Open, you know, all across the country. I know Greg Tack does an amazing job over in the East Coast with his tournaments.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of great stuff about Greg's stuff.
Boot Hill in Chicago, right? I mean, Michigan Majors. I mean, there's so many tournaments. I don't know if Michigan Majors runs anymore, to be honest with you, but just like good tournaments. Bowling, high competitive bowling needs good tournaments, or else we're going to end up as a recreation sport, and it's just going to kind of go away. So shouts to Carl, because running a first ever annual tournament like this is super hard. You never know how many entries you're going to get. Guaranteeing money, right? All that stuff. Like, that is a big risk for a tournament director to take on. For him to do this in a first year with a streaming service, a sweeper, having the these bowlers that are traveling, on planes to come here to bowl, right?
Absolutely.
On a first annual tournament.
Right.
Because there's a lot of risk involved there. You come all the way out here, and then there's no entries. But, looks like he's going to do really good, I think, this weekend. And I'm hoping, he could continue to do this every year and maybe even expand it, too. You never know. I'm getting beers offered to me, and people don't realize I have to be up at 4:30 to work,
Well, you got that whole job. But there we go. Yeah. You got that whole JOB thing. I think you're using an excuse. I mean,
I am using an excuse. I use an excuse for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how parents use their kids for excuses.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, oh, we got to leave. The kids got some. Yeah, no, your kids don't
So
got some.
yeah, I mean, but
Yeah, that's me.
you guys are spot
That's me
on
now.
with the evolution of bowling.
Yeah, I got to
and-
take my
and
child to school in the
keeping
morning. That's definitely me.
keeping competitive bowling alive. I mean, because obviously the world of action, and that's why you look at UBA and what that's morphed into with the thousands. I mean, and that's, like I said, I think there are 12, 13,000 members, and going to watch Battle Bowl and all the stuff that they do. It's cool to see people that excited about bowling and like some action stuff. But yeah, it's like I can remember as a kid, and we can talk about it now because we're old. But it was one of those deals that we got better because we bowled against adults for like $20 a game. And that's how you got better. And unfortunately, we lost a big chunk of that. And then, like you said, with the megabucks, the $250,000 mini eliminator and all the big ones are gone by the wayside. So
Right.
these are the ones that have to survive. And again, like Carl and I talked at lunch. And comparatively speaking to the PBA, I mean, this is more than a PBA regional.
Right.
And more in most cases than any the PWBA titles,
Right.
as far as monetary value. So there's definitely a level, there's definitely a platform that there's still a lot of competitive bowlers that
So the difference between this tournament and a regional is I could pay all this money to travel to a regional, bowl 3 really bad games, and then have to grind out my 5 and miss the cut, and then I have to leave. Here you bowl 6 games. You could bowl 115 the first game, and guess what? You re-enter, right? And then you start over. Now I'm making it worth my while to travel, because if I don't make it my first squad, I can make it my second squad. If I don't make it my second squad, I can bowl Saturday night and bowl re-enter in the
so the investment, maybe
Right.
you might have to put a little bit more into it, like you said, in that regard, as far as compared to like a regional entry fee. But at the end of the day, man, it's $10,000 a win, and plus all the other side action. You got brackets and sides and that whole thing, and that's where, and that's all the big part of it too. It's crazy with some of these events when you hear about, oh, we got brackets and sides. They're like, yeah, how many brackets you have? Oh, well, I went all in. They had 4 brackets.
Yeah.
And then you hear about other places where, man, they go on, how much you had? Well, I had to go to the ATM, and the ATM wouldn't give me enough money to get in all the brackets and sides. Like, there's that aspect of it too. So that's but again, we need to find a way to get, and like Carl and I have talked numerous times, this is the inaugural, this is the first one. I said, bro, doesn't mean that you can't have 2 a year, or maybe you one run in a different part of the country. Anything's possible. Whatever you want to do, man.
I was telling him, I was like, hey, like, Vegas is a good spot for a mega buck tournament. And then, if you want to go there, people love to go to Vegas. I mean,
Yep.
I hate Reno. I don't ever want to go there. And I know probably Schlem is probably sick of Reno himself. But
Well, you know what? What's funny is I haven't been there in a while. I haven't seen all the things that have happened. I saw the updates of the stadium, but I haven't heard about all the other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're locally downtown. But
Yeah, it's tough.
I just know by reading social media that there are not too many fans of the airport for whatchamacallit, the lake up there.
Oh, Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe. Yeah, it's like they don't even call it Reno anymore. They're like, you know that airport you fly into when you go to Lake Tahoe? I go, oh yeah, Reno.
Yeah, Reno. So do you know what the best part about going to Reno is, right? Leaving.
Well, okay. Well, there you go.
That's always the joke that I've
There
been using.
you go.
I've been using that joke for years. Yeah.
So did you guys? What do you guys guess, Chris? Did I hear it was a 701? Was a high set?
It could be.
We believe it to be 701.
Okay.
Unconfirmed yet.
Unconfirmed.
I heard a last call for a couple of score sheets.
Yeah.
He's 702. Guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say he got close. He got closer than I did.
I know. See, this is the experience. This is the
See?
seasoned veteran right here.
Yeah, you shot high and I shot low.
That's probably like 1 in a gazillion cut scores.
And the roller coaster of
that I've
emotions that we
correct.
had, because once that second game started, and you guys were like, "Oh man, we shot way too high. Like there's nobody getting to 700." Oh, you never know.
Well, you know, if it was the Price is Right, I would have still bid in because I didn't overbid. Oh, wait, no, I did overbid.
You
right?
overbid. I would have been in
did
because
too,
I was
technically.
underbid.
So
But
I mean, which would have hurt more because it was just a penny or a dollar in this case.
yeah, so we got the Lane Zamboni going out here for the challenge match.
Well, I was telling
re-greasing
Emil
them.
and Carl, like, this is the hospitality of Agent Ong Open. Is have you ever been a part of an action match where they actually oil 3 pairs for one match? I've never seen that before. And again, you know, I mean,
Trying to think back to some of the old action days of different things that.
Oh, I mean, the old action days, the mechanic would have been in someone's pocket, and then they would have had some kind of like inside info about the shot, and they got a guy who knows the guy who, you know, is betting on the other guy, and then
who accidentally didn't put the right oil or the right hit the right button on the machine. So maybe one lane's got a little something different.
Yep. Oh, there's always some good sportsmanship, gamesmanship.
Gamesmanship. Yeah, we'll go with that. There you go.
You know,
strategery.
If anybody knows the name Arnie Goldman, talk about some gamesmanship. He could talk some stories about some of the gamesmanship. He was the OG of the gamesmanship on the action.
I saw him this summer.
Oh yeah,
in
He's still bowling.
Yep.
Yeah, great bowler.
Yep. He
Looks like Carl is about to write a few checks.
My man's
just waiting for the final standings, obviously, to do that.
He's got checks and he's got an ink pen and
that's a trophy right here.
Yeah.
And then
look at that.
Brooklyn Rob's got to present a trophy.
I have my own trophy. Man, started a podcast, 2 normal guys, and now I got a trophy. I feel like I made it in the bowling world.
But it's not your trophy. You have to give that to somebody.
No, I'm taking this home. I'm just
like, yeah, man, cool. You won. High five. I'm keeping your trophy.
I saw the belt yesterday. I said, Carl, I'm taking the belt. I'm taking the check. I'm taking the trophy.
That's awesome.
You know, I pretty much won. I won this weekend. It's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, there you go.
You did win.
We're all winners here. I think that's how it is. We're
Seth
all
would have to wake
here.
up tomorrow morning at 4:30, and then I'm going to feel like a loser.
You're going to look at that alarm and you're going to throw it across the room.
Oh, my goodness. And still not it's dark out now all the time. And it won't be 100, though, here for a lot longer.
No, it'll be 98 at 4:30 in the morning. It'll be great.
I know, but next week it's going to get cooler. Thank God. I can't wait.
Yeah. After we all leave.
Yeah. Greg is getting shoot up here for the big action match.
And the key word there is shoot up because my man's he wears Nikes.
I know.
That's right.
I know. I talked to him about it yesterday.
Because of the size of,
18.
Yes.
Size 18 shoe. I told him I was going to bowl an action match against him after, and he was going to have to wear bowling shoes, and I was going to wear sneakers.
That's fantastic.
And then with the over and under, us falling on the approach is probably at least 3 times, at least me, and then probably blowing my knee out. Falling in sneakers.
I was going to say my knees hurt just thinking about that.
Yeah, I got a good story about falling on the lanes from Bill O'Neill. You ever hear this story? Him falling on the lane?
Bill falling on the lane?
Yeah. So we were bowling national championship, IBCs, for college.
Okay.
And we were bowling against Western Illinois, which is the Derek Sapp years.
Yeah.
And it was the Final Four, and it was game 1, and he was the anchor, and he got up in a 10 frame, and he needed a spare to win the match.
Yeah.
Left a stone 10, gets up to make the spare to win the match. He fell on the approach, and the ball went to gutter at the arrows, and we lost it. We ended up losing in 7.
Something happened to his shoe, or?
No, he just tripped on himself. So till this day, whenever I see Bill and we talk about college, I'm like, you cost me a national championship. You know that, right?
It's all your fault.
Western Illinois went to win the tournament in the national championship. Yep. And And then whenever I bring that up, he talks about how I like threw like maybe one strike out of like.
Yeah, explaining how much of a help you actually were.
And he never missed for like
Right.
2 days, you know.
He goes, I fall down one time, and that's all you remember. That's how it is.
That's all I remember.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anybody out there, you ever see Bill ask him about the time he fell in the approach?
Yeah, and I haven't talked to him. I guess hopefully he's doing okay. I know he had some issues with some health stuff.
Yeah, I talked to him. You know,
Something happened in Maine. What was it? His back or something?
Yeah,
Or
he's had that problem forever.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I can even remember when I was out there.
Yeah.
He'd have those spells with his back, so I guess one of those deals again.
Yeah, he was being very caution. He was being cautious because when you're bowling a team event and there's only 5 of you and you don't have a 6th man, and all of a sudden your back goes out and you're in Maine, I mean, you really can't do anything, and your whole team is going to suffer.
Right.
So I mean, he's a good guy. He's always been a good guy, and he decided that he was just going to like play it safe, essentially.
Right. It was definitely the right play. Cool. Glad to hear he's hanging.
Yeah, you know, he's be bowling, and was talking to him a little bit. And one time I called him up, asked him about like what he thinks about when he bowls, because I wanted to pick his brain. And what he talk? He said something so like obvious. I just wanted to like jump through the phone and strangle him. It was like just hit your target. I'm just like, dude. Really? Is that
You're like
advice?
that's the best
Something
you got?
like that,
Come
yeah.
on,
I'm
man.
like, I'm thinking he's gonna like give me some
Right.
deep down like edge, you know, that nobody knows about.
Yeah, kind of like the deal with, like Duke and some of those other guys. Norm would always have like a checklist, and it was crazy. Some weeks, you'd have a checklist of maybe 3 or 6 things, and I would have to
Okay.
I'd have to learn what his
So just tell me what you need me to do.
Yeah, I'd have to learn his checklist because he goes, hey, so I'm on the checklist. He goes, what we talked about. He goes, yeah, I'm focusing on 1, 3, and 5. Oh, okay, so that narrows it down. But yeah, that's different wavelength stuff.
Yeah.
But the other guys were like, don't follow my head, don't follow my head, don't follow my head. Good. All right, sweet.
Yeah. It's funny, I was going through this period where I was getting really nervous while I was bowling big tournaments, so I called the 2 people that I know had the best mental games that I've ever been a part of, just knowing, Bill O'Neill and DeAndre Beatty.
Okay.
And they both told me 2 of the most simplest things. I think Bill told me to hit my target, and DeAndre told me just don't think about anything. I'm like, what kind of advice is this? Like,
he's like, what have I
I'm
made
like,
life
this is
so
it.
hard. My choices in life have been so hard.
You got 12 titles, you're a Hall of Famer, and this is the advice I'm getting.
This is what I'm getting. Take that. All right.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to be presenting a trophy or a check, but
I think you are.
I'm going to be.
That's the plan.
I was
right?
trying to hold it out until that happens, but I got a quick thing to adjust and get people over to the new.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to be heading out after, so
Appreciate you,
Hey,
man.
Absolutely.
thanks for having me
for
on.
fun.
It's been awesome. Sorry if I talk too much. but
No, it was great. And
Oh, good, bro.
it was
I didn't
awesome.
curse though.
That's what you do.
I didn't curse.
You did it.
I went literally 2 hours without cursing. So on my
By the
ride
way-
home, I'm just going to pump some Tupac and swear.
Well, I
at
was
the
going to
store.
say, you might want to shoot a message to your mom and say, hey, Mom, you should be proud of me.
I know you should. You told I'm not going to have to put $1 in a swear jar.
Yes.
But, all right, I appreciate it. Thanks
No, I
everybody
think
for
and
listening.
we do, and those of us here, and obviously the bowlers appreciate you guys. Obviously being the sponsor of the sweeper, because again, it's all pieces of the puzzle. It's all making it click and work.
Yeah, we definitely want to support tournaments like this, and the podcast is on every Thursday night, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 YouTube, Facebook,
Okay.
Twitter. We change it up. Follow us on social media if you want to get any updates on us changing. And the show is not really for everybody. I'll be honest with you.
Well, yeah, there's no show that's for everybody.
I know our show definitely is not for everybody.
Well, there you go.
We love to have fun and talk serious bowling and also have fun. So, all right, I'm gonna
Bowling
see.
and fun.
All
That's
right.
the thing.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna head out. Thanks, sir.
All right. I'll say so it looks like we actually are going to get a presentation of a trophy and a check, maybe. It looks like.
I think we're going to get there.
I say it sounded like loaded cash was what, -1 they just said?
Third, +24, Matt Swig. Second, +30, Andrew Kane. And your leader At plus 101, Matthew
Andrew
Jones.
Kane got to 630.
Carl is out there somewhere to present you with pictures with your check.
All right.
The rest of you cashiers,
Do you need me to pan over or pan under? Oh, there we go.
I was going to pan a little bit anyway.
There we go. And so we're getting some photos here of our winner of $1,500 at the Sweep the Rack Sweeper. The tongue twister gets me every time. I like Sweeper of the Rack. I think that's what we had before.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy.
All right, folks. So what we're going to do in this stream, hop over to the action match link in the event, and we'll be back with you literally in about 2 minutes. All right, so we'll close it down here for Chris Schlemmer, Rob Perushad, of course, Carl Long. Shout out to Sweep the Rack and Big Mike. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Hop on over to the additional link that I dropped earlier up above there, and we'll be back with you shortly right here on Bullstream TV.